Just hit share.
Yep.
Is the mic in the right place, Joe?
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Are we live?
We're live.
Oh, it's red. It's red. All right, we should be seeing it. It's live. Yep. As soon as it goes live, share it to your page. We're live, Facebook. Oh, yeah. What happened? Crank it up, crank it up. Oh, you gotta turn your volume down. I forget to say that every week. Why is that not working still? I don't get the notification. I don't know. God damn it. There we go. Okay, now we're jamming. This is all brand new. You know, we're trying to make a lot of new things happen here. Music, having a good time. Welcome to the Whine No Whine Show Facebook. That's right, the only show where you can be friended and offended all in the same hour. Guys, we have a problem in America. The problem is, I call it zero to Nazi. It's how long does it take in any given conversation to go from zero to you're a Nazi and I'm going to go outside and burn down your car. That's the problem we have in America. America has lost the ability to disagree civilly. Let's learn how to talk about the sensitive issues like friends over a great glass of wine like we're going to do on today's show. Yes. Gwen got excited. Look at that. Yes. I love it.
You know this one, huh?
Gwen and I got to drink this bottle of wine last night at one of our wine tasting events, and let me tell you, it is freaking fantastic.
It's orgasmic.
And wow! Can we say that word, Facebook?
It's
oh my gosh.
orgasmic.
She said it
New
twice.
record.
Right, twice on one show.
Would that make her multiple orgasms?
Look, yes.
That's a no.
I'm sorry. This is when
My
PG
daughter is in the room, people! I'm like 8 shades of red now. Let's keep the show PG here.
50 Shades of Red.
Wow, look, I am red, I know. I could tell I blushed. Oh my God.
That was well placed. The 50 Shades of Red.
I'm already in trouble.
Yes.
And wife's right outside that door.
This is a testament.
Can you lock that door?
This is a testament to how much I like Gwen because I only got 2 bottles of this, and I already drank one of these myself. And because we had it last night at the wine tasting event, and Gwen loved it so much, I said I will open my last bottle of it for the show tomorrow, so you can have it tomorrow. So you're getting my
Man, we are
last
so
bottle. That's
lucky.
just because of how much I like you.
We're thankful for the
So-
pool you obviously have. Thank
Yes,
you for
yes, yes, yeah. You guys would get nothing. I just.
Steve, you and I are for a song. That's what
I
we
wouldn't
get.
share
We're
this
for a
with y'all
song,
for
yeah.
nothing. That's right. That's right. Y'all are for a song.
We're for a song.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Middle of the road Merlot. That's where y'all rank.
Thanks, Joe.
Yes, we're gonna have a good time, guys. We're gonna talk about all the stuff that everybody in the world says you're not supposed to talk about, and we're gonna have a great time doing it over a great glass of wine. This wine is from Castilla-La Mancha, Spain. Very, very amazing. I'm biasing the group. They're going to rate it at the end of the show, so you'll get to see whether they think it's amazing at the end of the show. But it's a Sauvignon Blanc from the middle region of Spain. It is a really interesting wine, and I'll talk about it at the end of the show and tell you where y'all can hook up with this wine. But this is what we're drinking at the end of the show. So stick with us. Be sure to comment and like the show, share it, get it out there. And be a part of the mission to help fix America, where we can learn how to disagree civilly. I'm going to start pouring a glass. We'll start over here to my left. David, introduce yourself.
The shameless plug
Shameless
master.
plug. That's right, the shameless plug section of the show.
Yes, my name is David Pipkin. I proudly identify myself as a Christian constitutionist.
How dare you?
I
I'm
know,
insulted.
I know, and that automatically put me in the Nazi category with a good
Yeah.
section of our audience, but that's all
You're,
right.
Yes, you're obviously a Nazi, and probably a fascist.
Always, always glad to enjoy either good glasses or
Let me just
bad,
toss out some more
bad
words.
glasses of wine.
You're a
right?
communist.
With my
That's
friends.
good and bad.
Yeah, but tonight my shameless plug is, as usual, Friday night I will be at Casa Nueva Mexican Restaurant, 1960 in Kirkendall, starting at 7-ish, depending on when I bust out of here, because, you know, we're 5 to 6, except when we're not. Right, and
Right,
so-
which is most of the time.
Yeah, it is hard to extract ourselves from our conversations here, but you know, if you watch real closely, let me say this: a lot of times people watch the show and they don't realize that we've disagreed, And that's the great thing about the show, is that it should be that way. We're listening to one another, we're enjoying a great glass of wine, and we are demonstrating what it's like to have political dialogue and disagreement without going to war, either verbally or otherwise, right?
Yes.
So cheers to all of you. I'll be the first
Cheers.
drinker tonight. Cheers to all of you for what we do
Cheers.
here.
La, 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 la.
God bless the Wine No Wine show.
That's
Gwendolyn.
right. Gwendolyn.
Okay, well, hi everybody. I'm a personal corporate coach, relationship coach, and I have a group page. It's called Straight Talk and Reality Check. So please join me on that group page. We love for you to make comments, ask questions, make contributions, just chat away.
It's a lively bunch, I will say that.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
Jeff, new guest, and Gwen is the second time returning guest. Jeff is a brand new guy. We're breaking him in here today.
That's right. In more ways than one, because I hadn't even heard about the show.
Yeah, until just like a day or so ago. Yeah.
Yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, wasn't it yesterday?
Yesterday I didn't know what Wine
Yeah.
No Wine show was. Now I are one.
Which is funny because I've known you for a while now.
Yeah.
Well, you could have mentioned it sooner.
Get him, Jeff. Get him. That's right.
Do you know how long he's guest listed?
Just be proud.
I do book up fast. I do book up fast.
No,
I'm
no,
excited to have you on the show.
No, that's not what I meant.
I-
I didn't mean invite me sooner. I just meant like
Mention it, right?
yeah, mention it,
Yes.
share it.
Yes. And that, I did put it in the group chat at some point, but it was just kind of general. I was filling out the group. I didn't know what the agenda was, so that's where I didn't want a shameless plug.
Oh no.
So,
It's
but
not.
anyway.
It's not like that because that term shameless plug. I don't relate to that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
A plug is a plug. If you're proud of it, it's not shame.
Right. I have no shame. I'm shameless in plugging it. So yeah. So
No,
there we
people
go.
call me shameless. I don't know. I've been called that before, but that's not necessarily true. You know,
Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily a bad thing.
compared to the person who said it.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Consider the source, as they
Always,
say.
always, that's
Exactly.
why.
Exactly. All right, Steve. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's
that's okay,
okay.
no.
That's all right. Anyways, Jeff, real estate
Yes.
professional.
Yeah, shameless plug. Get it in. What
Yeah,
real estate group is it? Give us some promotion here.
Primarily, I work as a lender, which means people come and they say, "Hey, I want to buy this house or this, commercial piece of property, whatever, vacant land. It doesn't matter. Anything real estate." And they may or may not qualify elsewhere. Either they're in a big hurry, and so they will say, "Hey, I need to close quick. Come now." I say, "Okay, I can do that." Or, "Hey, I got turned down, but here's my reason." And I say, "Oh, I can understand that. I'll do that for you." So it's a lender, also a realtor. I like to sell houses if I can.
Okay.
We need to talk.
Yeah.
I love to.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
with a builder, custom builder, Scott Thomas.
Oh, I
Home,
love
so
that. Hey,
we
some
will.
of
Oh
my-
yeah, we'll just do the car.
I only take 1%.
We'll take care
I
of
only
it.
take
This is
1%.
the finder's fee.
Finder's fee.
There's no shame here.
Trading cards on the show. I love it.
You're gonna have to
Emerson,
pay the
everybody.
staff now.
Jeff Emerson.
You
That's
can
right.
have one too. Don't worry.
Oh,
That's
okay,
right.
great.
All right.
Steve, returning guest Steve. Introduce
Okay,
yourself.
well, my name is Steve Williams, and I'm the original Grapehead. I guess I'm going to break with tradition. I usually don't have shameless plugs, but today I thought long and hard about it, and I thought, well, shoot. I think it's time that we spread a little bit more awareness about veterans' issues and post-traumatic stress disorders and veterans issues in general. I'd like to be a vehicle for that. If you're a veteran out there that happens to see this show, rest assured that if you were to ever get a hold of me, if I don't have the answer, I'll definitely I'll move mountains to find that answer for you and get you with somebody that can help you out. Other than that, I'm a big believer in peer-to-peer counseling. If you've been there and done that, well, you're looking at somebody who's been there and done that as well. So if you're out there, obviously there's many ways to get a hold of me, and on the show and Facebook is one way to do that, and I'll be open to talk to you. So there's my shameless plug.
Love it, love it, love it. Some great veterans on my page probably watching right now.
Oh yeah,
Awesome. Well, guys, we're doing something a little new with today's show, and I don't know, from the viewer side, it may not appear new, but we meet an hour before the show, and we start drinking.
Sometimes 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Sometimes 10 minutes, yes. We start drinking, we start having a good time. Oh, I want to give some shout outs. Roger, thanks for tuning in. Roger said, Gwendolyn is my hottie. She rocks. And then he threw this in so he would, get some good graces.
Roger is
missed
my
it.
#1 fan.
White Picket Realty gave a shout out. They gave us a shout out.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Okay. They were going by there. Yeah. So and he just threw in as a last side mention, Joe rocks
Look at
as
that.
well.
Chick remix. There you go.
Oh, Chick
That's
remix.
Rebel,
Nice.
Rebel Crew DJs in the house.
There you go. Nice set, guys. I like it. Stephanie McKenzie. Stephanie's a regular on the show. She's jumped in. So thanks for joining in. We have a screen up on the wall now so we can halfway pay attention to comments. So you guys be sure to chime in on the show. This is a live interaction. Y'all are a part of the show just as much as the guests on the show. So you are officially, if you're watching the show, you're officially a grape head. So that's what our audience is called. So, you're a grape head now. I'm going to get shirts eventually so I can, sell them and make money off of this. That's right. Hashtag, right. So anyway, yes, I'm a capitalist through and through. So I'll figure out how to make money off
Yeah, I
this
was
thing
wondering how
sooner or
Steve was
later.
the original grape head when I'm the one that came up with the first. I'm like, how did that happen? Oh, he
Yeah.
signed first.
Steve, hey, I will give kudos to David. David came up with the term
Yes.
grape head, and I promptly stole it. So that's how
That's
it
right.
works,
With permission. I
Yeah,
let you steal
there
it.
we go.
We need those hats.
Hey,
The
if you're
great,
good at
you know,
ideas are kind of a gift.
I have all kinds of
Yeah.
ideas. Now, if you want good ones,
Yeah,
Well,
that might cost
we
you.
might have to
Got a
close
bunch of
the
ideas.
Frank got the checkbook.
we might have to close the door and have a real conversation.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to talk about a subject today that it's on the mind of a lot of folks, and you know what I'll say with crime issues that have really gotten mainstream, a lot of press and that sort of thing. I think it's kind of a sensitive subject, and we're going to talk about the death penalty today. And should there be a death penalty? Should we be for it? Should we have capital punishment? Or should it be something that's is it archaic and should we get rid of it? We're going to really dive into that subject today. So feel free to chime in already if you want to hop in on the comment thread and give us your thoughts. But I'm going to kind of go around the room and just give a real quick I'm for it. Here's why. And don't pontificate for an hour. Just keep it to a minute or two at the tops.
Timekeeper.
Yeah.
I'll set a good example.
Okay,
I
David,
promise.
hop in.
I'm for it, and I won't go into the elaborate details of why I'm for it, but I do think that there is a giant misnomer and a misconception out there as to what is behind the death penalty. It ties back to the heritage of our nation, and I'll leave it at that. So I'm for it, and there's reasons for it that I think a lot of people don't really understand that what the death penalty is all about. Even those who are actually in agreement with me in position, they don't necessarily know why it's a good thing.
Okay.
So I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Very good. Very good. All right, Gwen, what's your position on this?
Okay, I'm against it because
Of course, you put it right next to me.
I should have put her where she could throw stuff at you. I should have, if I
I'm
was
so
smart.
glad you put me next to her. That's right. Because look at those shoes. If she's a shoe thrower, I'm in trouble, man.
Yes!
Oh, yeah.
She has a good spike on those. She could just, yeah.
No, we won't go that far. But
I'm not wasting a good pair of shoes on you, buddy.
Exactly. Thank you for understanding me.
I understand.
I love it.
I'm against the death penalty because I believe that that person should suffer. Death is way too easy. So easy out.
Wow, I did not see that angle
see that
coming.
coming.
Yes.
And then,
Wow.
and then,
Wow. Okay.
and then plus, if there is a mistake in the justice system, and there often is, you can't reverse that mistake, right? If you can resurrect someone. So, but if there's no death penalty,
Yeah, we get it right most of the time.
you make that person suffer if that person is the actual criminal, and then you can actually release that person and give his freedom back, and also compensate for the time he spent there, if there was actually a mistake.
Okay.
Or she.
Or yes,
Or
she.
she.
Or
Yeah,
she.
right. Okay.
No, it's only the men who make the mistakes.
Yeah, the
Man's
women
brain.
are always right.
That's
Yeah.
not what I meant.
Just kidding.
Jeff, what's your take on this?
Well, you know, I'm definitely torn on the issue. And I don't like being asked the question. I did an essay on the question once,
Oh, wow.
and I was for it at that time. But I've changed immeasurably and evolved to a point where I feel like it's kind of archaic and it will eventually phase itself out. So,
Okay.
to be on the right side, I'm going to agree that Gwen is right. And
You want him to suffer?
No, 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 no. No, no.
I love that as one of her bullet
they're-
points.
No, they are absolutely already suffering.
Okay.
There's a ton of suffering that still
Yeah.
still remains. Therefore, he's right too. So,
Okay.
you will find that I am very, very centered, just left of center.
Okay.
So I'm gonna be annoyingly on the fence or in the middle,
I love that. That's great.
and very understanding. I'll be a very hard person to sway on a death penalty case.
Okay.
I would be more inclined to punish them than to kill them. However, some of them I'd kill them on the spot, and I would feel nothing about it.
Okay, so the comments are zooming by, and Ash, I may need you to scroll down for me because I want to make sure I get everybody in here. If you can, scroll down to Jeremy's comment. Jeremy said, "Hell yeah, hang 'em."
Hey, don't miss my friend Donald Bro there. See that?
Yeah, we're
What's up,
scrolling
Don
up.
Bro?
We're going up. We're scrolling up.
Elizabeth Pina, what?
Chick Remix said, "Thank God for the death penalty.
That's my good friend.
Rest in peace, Elizabeth Pena and Jennifer Ertman." And Donald Bro said, "Eye for an eye, brother." Randall joined in. Thanks for tuning in. He said, "Sound is good and the show." Okay, cool. Carolyn Lentini, thanks for tuning in. Hey, how's it going, girl? We're talking about the death penalty and whether it should be. Feel free to chime in. Everybody's kind of weighing in right now and giving their stance on this. So we're over to Steve now. Steve, what is your take on this?
Well, Joe, I'm going to balance this out. I like what I'm hearing so far from everybody else. Far from me to judge. If we were all sitting on a jury, this is the standpoint where we need to approach this from. If we've heard evidence in the testimony from witnesses and or technical experts, whatever, during a trial process, I think most of y'all's opinions would change. If the judge deems that this case is, and this is the practical application that I understand it to be, if the judge deems that the state requires that the death penalty be an option for the jury to decide, the jury has to decide unanimously on that. So we all know the mechanisms. We've seen it before time and time again. So if you were on a jury and you heard the evidence in the case and you were not for the death penalty, but you wanted to put them in a hole so deep that they suffered for the rest of their natural life, that actually cannot happen. People that are given life without parole got 3 hots in a cot. They get an hour by themselves to exercise every day, look at the sun, whatever. Okay, they just have to stay in a hotel. They are taken care of by the state. Your tax dollars support that for the rest of their life.
But initially, what's your
Could I make a
position?
point about that?
But-
he's just trying to get positions right now, though.
Yeah.
Right? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, hey,
all I'm saying is that the
sum up, and then we'll
so my
come back.
sum up is I'm for it if it is warranted by the state, and we have to weigh that as a jury. I'm for it, but if we're going to put them in a hole, then that's suffering in and of itself. Sex changes, I think, are now on the rise.
Right,
So,
which
yeah.
is why never letting them out is the problem.
Well,
Because I just interrupted you, so maybe they didn't.
Yeah, I was just
see
going
No,
to
that's
say,
okay,
typically, I was
still
just going to say,
red.
it's already caught up. Randall said, we all die someday anyway. It's just a matter of when. So the question is, should it be sooner or later? Carolyn Lentini chimed in. I agree with Donald. Donald?
Yeah, Donald Bro.
Oh,
Earlier comment.
gotcha. Thank you.
My brother.
Just like in China, less crime. Okay, so I'm going to throw out a pro and a con on this real quick with a couple quotes, and let's dive in then with addressing some of the points that everybody said here. An interesting quote here. The general point: it makes society immoral. Check this out. It makes society immoral to be against the death penalty. Now, I thought that was really kind of a fascinating position to hold. I would have assumed that kind of a point would be from the opposite side.
I would say unnatural, not immoral.
And check it out. So that's why I thought it was interesting. They chose the word immoral. Alex Kaczynski, circuit court judge for the U.S. Court of Appeals, Ninth Circuit Court, said Immanuel Kant said it best. He said, a society that is not willing to demand a life of somebody who has taken somebody else's life is simply immoral. So the question really, when the system works and when you manage to identify somebody who has done such a heinous evil, do we as a society have a right to take his life? I think the answer is plainly yes. And I would go with Kant and I would say it is immoral for us not to. That's a really interesting position.
What year was that quote? Does this
It's
say
a recent. It's a recent. Yeah, it's
That's
like
like I had the feeling.
2014. I want to say.
That's amazing coming from the Ninth Circuit. Though.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Tremendously. I thought
The
that's
Ninth Circuit being the left coast,
Yes.
big old circuit court,
Yes,
the Supreme
that's-
Court. Yeah.
that-
Pelosi land.
Thank you.
that's
Yeah.
part of the reason why I chose it.
Yeah,
Uh,
that is interesting.
All right, a con position here. The American Civil Liberties Union said, they said the death penalty has no deterrent effect. Claims that each execution deters a certain number of murders have been thoroughly discredited by social science research. In civilized society, we reject the principle of literally doing to criminals what they do to their victims. The penalty for rape cannot be rape, or for arson, the burning down of an arsonist's house. We should not, therefore, punish the murderer with death.
Right.
Right?
Oh, I got an argument on that because
So
that point right there alone warrants the discussion from a. What did he say at first? It's just what did the quote say at first? I forget exactly what it said.
It said the death penalty has no deterrent effect.
That is incorrect because the media doesn't cover it. If we still had public executions,
No,
yes.
No, man, those
if
never
we had
worked.
public executions,
Whatever.
the way we show WWE and all these other programs
Look where we
that
are. Why
are
we
supposed to be
still the same problem. if it
breaking
worked.
ground on social interactions and things like that, we would see that. I mean, I think we would see that. Believe
There's
me.
empirical
We already tried
evidence. There's empirical evidence that supports the notion that it absolutely is a deterrent. The thing is that empirical evidence is not focused upon, and the argument is similar to, it's like when I talk about where people who are pro-Trump say, no matter what he does, he's better than Hillary.
No, but I have considered it.
Hey,
Green beans.
respect the narrative, as they like to say.
We're
Y'all can jump in.
We're arguing a point that can't be quantified, because that's what I'm saying. No matter how, to go to that analogy that I'm making, no matter how bad Trump does, the natural fallback position for those who voted for him will always be, well, Hillary would have been worse. It's an unquantifiable argument, right? But the reality is that we know from firsthand accounts of people that have been convicted by the death penalty that did you think about this? Yeah, I knew, but did it anyway. So to say that it's not a deterrent ignores their own testimony. So because how can we quantify how many people may have been tempted to kill somebody, murder somebody,
Right.
but didn't do it because there is the death penalty, right?
Yeah.
Right.
That's why
So
you changed
there's no
my
way to
mind.
quantify it.
You changed my mind on the spot because you reminded me. It deterred me. And look at his face. He looks like
I know!
he's got an MMA fighter streak
Yeah,
going
we're
on.
gonna have to start wanding some
brilliant.
people before we get in here, man.
Okay, I got to get a clink on that one. That was brilliant.
It's
That
awesome.
was
Ling,
brilliant.
ling, ling, all the way around. Ling, ling, ling.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
You know who you are.
That will make the highlight reel at some point in
Oh,
the
yeah.
show. I guarantee you. That was good. Okay. So I know
You
you
got
guys.
your daughter go laughing.
Yeah. Okay, so we got some side comments here, real quick. Randall said we all die. Oh no, that's the old comment. Oh, I thought they were new comments. Huh?
I will say on Randall's comment, the only thing I'd say, he said it's just a question of when it's not just a question of when; it's a question of under what circumstances too.
Yes, of course.
There is righteous killing and there's unrighteous killing.
Also, I agree with the when question because my immediate response was either on the spot or not at all.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, well, I think the put them in jail and there's appeal after appeal after appeal after appeal, and you're there for freaking 20 years. I'm like, there is no.
That system will evolve.
Yeah.
Surely.
Yeah,
And
it's
they're
evolving.
in
It's terrible.
solitary. They have no interaction with anybody other than the guards that bring them their 3 hots, and whatever. That's it. It's a totally isolated time between the time that you walk out of that courtroom after you've received your sentence till they tell you, the warden comes in and says, your DOE or your date of execution will be 11 April 2017. Okay, so, and that date's already passed, so they're dead. Anyway, it's until you really get together and watch these, watching the episodes of the news media going in there and talking to the prisoners behind the glass and listen to what they have to say, you're going to see a changed person because they know that every single time the sun comes up, that's one day closer to the time that they are checked out.
If I may,
So-
to that's a great segue. If I
Sure.
But you remember in Texas there was I want to say her name was Carla Faye Tucker.
Carla Faye Tucker,
Carla
yes.
Faye Tucker, and she now. We know that people on death row, there have been many jailhouse conversions, right, where they claim a faith in Christianity and have accepted Jesus as their Lord and Savior and all that. But what ends up happening in those instances, in many occasions, is they're using that conversion as a basis for their argument about why they should be released, and arguing that I'm forgiven by Jesus, why can't you forgive me, right? Carla Faye Tucker is
I
one.
think y'all should go talk about it.
Well, it's one that a story that struck my heart when it happened because that woman, I truly believe, got it, because as she was laying on the execution table, she looked at the family of her victims and said, "I pray that my death brings you peace."
Beautiful.
That is amazing, and that brings me to the point of why I argue for the death penalty. That's an ideal situation as to what the death penalty is truly there for, entrenched in the way our law was formulated.
Interesting, a point that Anne Marie Schubert, district attorney out in Sacramento, basically said if you're against the death penalty, you are denying the family ultimate closure, right? Denying the victim's family ultimate closure. She said, in our experience, most survivors want justice for the murderers of their family members. Repealing the death penalty will not heal those people's wounds. It keeps them permanently open. So that really kind of addresses, where you were coming from on that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a relevant point. Gwen, you seem very frustrated.
Well, remember, we got to get her in early.
She's got about 2 or 3 points.
She might have 3 or 4 points by this point, Joe.
Right. I'll just turn over the rest of the show to Gwen.
Here's Gwen.
We'll all leave.
See you later, guys.
Yeah, we'll all leave.
Okay. So I do have a couple points. Oh wait.
Close up on Gwen.
Close up.
Yeah.
Zoom.
Yeah, just zoom on Gwen. Not
I
right
have
here.
to say, by the way, guys, we watch the feed. We have a TV now above the camera, but it's a delay. That's the wonderful world of all this stuff has to go out of space and back and all this sort of thing. There's a delay of like 4, 5, 10 seconds, something like that.
Well,
Okay. So we are watching ourselves like 10 seconds behind what we're actually doing. I have to say it's a little unnerving. So
Yes.
it definitely kind of messes you up a little bit. But hey, we're adapting. This is brand new. It's technology. All right, Gwen, take it away.
Okay. Well, as a counter argument to what that was that a prosecutor who said that?
It was a district attorney.
District attorney.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
Gwen, by the way, is an attorney.
I'm not an attorney. I went to law school.
Went to law school. Okay,
Yes.
let's clarify. Went to law school.
But so as a counter argument, when that is the only closure, that's the only option you're giving the family as a closure. Of course, without having that, if like either is death penalty or no death penalty, You know, of course, there's no closure for the family members. If you, if the
Right,
criminal
if it's on the
doesn't
table.
get death penalty, but if you have other options out there, perhaps that's not the only closure
Right.
family members can get.
Especially if it's not on the table in the first place.
Exactly.
How would you classify anything other
So
than?
I believe, so that leads to my second point, which
Okay.
is
Anything other
rehabilitation. I am a big believer in rehabilitation, and there are, you know, states, cities where they're doing that, and the success rate is high. So if you focus, you pour all of the money, you know, instead of trying to litigate the case, you know, trying to make sure that person gets what he deserves, which is defined by the system, either, you know, death
they
penalty
already
or
have that.
jail time. Right. But you pour that money, instead of that, you pour the money into rehabilitation. You don't just rehabilitate the
Right.
criminal, at the same time you rehabilitate the family member who went through all that stuff.
Right.
Well, okay, so I'm going to chime in on a couple points here. Real quick, Nicole chimed in. Nicole, thanks for being a part of the show and commenting. Nicole said, I would rather get the death penalty rather than do life in prison. So are you, Nicole, real quick to clarify, are you speaking from the prisoner standpoint where you're saying,
Yes.
as a prisoner,
Yes,
that's
yes.
the way I'm perceiving that,
Yes.
that you would rather get the death penalty than to do life in prison?
Exactly.
So the punishment would be greater in your mind to do life than
Right.
to get the death penalty.
That's what she said.
All right?
I would submit on that that argument stems from a worldview that doesn't accept the true heritage of the founding of our nation and where our rule of law comes from. Because
Okay.
it's
Save that thought.
Yes, sir.
Save that
Yes,
thought.
sir.
We'll
That's
come
true,
back
too.
to that.
I'll
We'll come
listen.
back to that.
Yes,
That's
sir.
an interesting point. And I
That's true,
honestly,
too.
this is a great subject for me because I don't know that much about what you're talking about.
He
So
made his
I
full statement. It was true.
I love it. All right. So I'm going to chime in, and this kind of brings up something for me that is a hot point of this, and you touched on it. Ron Briggs, former district supervisor, El Dorado County, California, stated the following. He said, though I was once California's biggest proponent of the death penalty, I now feel compelled to admit the policy is destructive to our great state. What we didn't know then is that the death penalty would become an industry that benefits only attorneys and criminals, and no one else. It is an extreme expense to taxpayers, does not make our community safer, and fails to deliver the justice it promised. Since the initiative became a law, listen to this. This is where it gets deep, I think, where the meat is. California taxpayers have unknowingly spent more than $5 billion to maintain a death row that now houses 747 convicted criminals. During this time, only 13 people have been put to death. 747, only 13 have been put to death.
and that's in California.
Yes. At an eye-popping price tag of $384 million per
Is that correct?
execution.
No.
New studies conclusively show that the death penalty is not a deterrent to crime. My family and I believe the death penalty would serve as the ultimate warning to criminals, but nearly 40 years of evidence proves it does not work. Now, to say, we've talked about, and I haven't seen the data, so I don't know. I would like to see the data. We haven't seen the data on both sides. You guys have brought up a couple points that it does work, and the data supports that. They're saying the data doesn't support it. That's kind of a point we've touched on already. What I want to touch on, and it's something I mentioned earlier, is the appeal after appeal after appeal. These guys, 747 convicted criminals on death row in California, only 13 actually got there, and because it's a federal penitentiary with maximum security, they have massive expense through the roof in maintaining these guys, giving them 3 hots and a cot, as was mentioned earlier, to the point where it costs $384 million per execution.
Right.
I'm like, just from a practicality standpoint, it's absolutely bananas. That's definitely a big concern to me. right?
Well, he's conflating two issues in that too, but I'll
Yes, he
come
is.
back to that. You had your hand up.
Conflating.
Would you say which two issues?
Well, he's conflating so.
This show is brought to you by the word conflating.
That's right.
Amen.
Who was that
Go
Sesame
Pepe.
Street character, right?
Confetti.
Hey, extra points for
Right,
your word. For
conflating,
your words.
right? Word of the day, conflating.
Conflating. Well,
Yeah.
so what it is, because we were talking about starting off, and Steve kind of alluded to that in his initial statement on his position, where there's the matter of how the law is applied in the individual cases, and the matter of what the conditions are like in prison and what should be expected for prisoners and things of that nature. And I think we could all agree, regardless of our position, that the system itself of punishment, of incarceration, needs to be greatly overhauled. But
I would
that's
definitely
one
agree.
of the issues that he's conflating. He's saying the death penalty doesn't work because we're not putting them to death. It's such a long, slow process. To your point, here we have how many, 700 something on
Yes.
death row in 13 and how many years? And yes,
But
it
that's
is
just one state.
it is amazingly slow in California, and on top of that, there's some other issues there. You want to see people, what unites people on the subject is every time Charles Manson comes up for parole, right? They're going to let him out? All of a sudden, what? Hold on now. We should have let him
Yeah, it's
die
kind
a long
of
time
amazing
ago,
how that
right?
works out when you get the guy with the swastika on his
Yeah.
top of his nose.
But you had a point.
But the thing is that, and this is something I know you will agree with.
Bring it. We've agreed on
Yeah,
a lot lately. In fact, I
each-
owe you something. I'll come back to that.
Each state has its own methods. When you're tried in a state court and you are convicted to death, you're either in the easy checkout, 10 items or only, or you're in the regular checkout. California is one of those slow boats to China, pardon the pun. Texas has an express lane. Some people even joke about that.
To that
But-
point, I'd like
But
to
where
real quick.
where we go ahead and execute the sentence,
It's still slow here, though.
California goes
Yes.
through and spends the money on appeals. If you get convicted in any state, it's an automatic appeal.
Right.
There will be checks and balances with this trial to cover every little nut and bolt that maybe this, maybe that, and it is very well appealed. In this state, I guarantee you, the appeals system that we have in this state is second to none.
Yeah.
We cover everything, and if there is a mistake, Texas will own up for it, and we make it right. But we are going to do it in a truncated schedule because you better get it done right, because we don't want to be hanging on to somebody that's been convicted to be executed. They've been given their due process in court, okay?
Right.
With that, that's how we handle that. But I did like what Gwen said a little bit earlier about the rehabilitation. I think that the money could be spent on rehabilitation, but what is that doing, though, Gwen?
Well, that
All right,
You're
comes-
putting somebody
hold on,
is that
let me tie something
person
in. I
gonna
want to
be
ask you a
put
question.
back out in society?
On your
Is
point,
that what you
700
think?
people on death row.
No.
I want her answer on
Oh
that.
no, but I'd like to know how many people on death row in California died on death row compared to how many people actually were put to execution. That would be a great,
Like,
a
I mean,
great
like how many
comparison.
life in prison kind of a thing?
No. How many people who were sentenced to death
Right.
on death row died waiting
While
for
they
their
were in there.
execution?
Right. So, like, in essence, the life in prison.
They just died in prison. They weren't actually executed, as opposed to the
Right.
people actually executed.
I
That would be an
I don't
interesting
know.
point. I bet more die waiting for their execution than actually get executed.
I'm sure. Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Nicole chimed in and said, "Let the universe decide fate. Someone in jail will end up killing the bad guy or torturing their butt."
This is from my page. You gotta,
Well, that's why they're in solitary. They don't want to
Yeah.
be in mixed company.
you
Yes.
gotta understand.
Gosh, no.
Yeah. Chick Remix said the rape and murder of Jennifer Ertman and Elizabeth Pena, two teenage girls from Houston, Texas, aged 14 and 16 respectively, occurred on June 24th, 1993. Texas finally executed the murderers, and they should have done it over 10 years ago.
By the way, a little bit of an interest on that. I was actually on the jury pool for the one of those
Oh, wow.
men.
Donald Bro
Yeah.
said...
Don Bro!
Donald Bro said, I think murderers should be put to death in the same way they killed their victims. That would be pretty harsh.
Timothy McVeigh, the next
Yeah.
building implosion. Put him up on the
Right.
top of cameras and
Jeffrey
There it
Dahmer.
goes.
Yeah.
Who'd
Yeah.
want to volunteer for that execution team?
That's not palatable.
No, thank you. Not palatable, right?
Yeah, not
unless,
palatable.
Unless there's good wine.
Right.
Oh,
How
not
do you,
even
what do you
that.
pair that with?
What do you
What do you pair Jeffrey Dahmer with?
down the rabbit hole we
I
go?
don't
He
know.
is white, so
Gwendolyn has 3 more
I'd
points.
probably go. I'd probably,
Yeah.
I'd
Yes,
probably go with
Donald.
a.
Donald, I actually agree with you, but only if they
Gwen
have
is
the
vicious.
right.
I don't know if I want to be
only
her
if-
friend anymore. I'm like, I
Only
might
if they
end up in a
have
shallow
the right
grave.
killer. If they have
No,
the
no,
right
no,
murderer.
no.
You don't know. Sometimes
Yes,
you really don't know. You know, it's a fight between the attorneys. So sometimes you really just don't know whether they actually you're executing, you're killing. You know, it's hard to say. Most of the time they do, but sometimes they don't.
Here's
So
I
if they
think
actually
society
do,
is
yeah,
not-
I agree with you. Kill them the same way as how they kill the victims.
No.
Society sometimes has a
No.
knee-jerk reaction to the death penalty. If they hear somebody's date of execution is coming up at the Walls unit there in Huntsville, they think. I honestly, I would think sometimes, God, I wonder if they really did it. There is a
absolutely.
deep-seated doubt, and sometimes when the cases are reviewed and you see the heinous nature of the crime, and you think, well,
Listen.
okay, they were given their due process in court. They found him guilty and sentenced him to die. So
Listen,
you weren't part of that decision. So
Torian chimed in. Torian, thanks for tuning in again, brother. We need to get this guy on the show. I really like him. Military background, served our country, like this guy a lot. You need to be on the show, Torian. Thanks for chiming in. He said this is all pretty deep, but there are harsher punishments than the death penalty.
Amen.
Right?
Well, see,
Yep.
and-
To Gwen's point. Now, I want to
Gwen.
say this. This is a thing for me. If our judicial system were flawless and there were no mistakes, I am 1,000,000% for the death penalty. Right? I have seen way too many documentaries of somebody who served 20 years in prison and was released because the evidence was incorrect.
Especially with the DNA evidence that's been
Yeah,
developed.
exactly. And my position on this is that not one, and I believe this is the heart of our judicial system. Beyond a reasonable doubt, that is the requirement, right? And so for me, the fallible nature of humans, the judge, the evidence, the fallible nature of somebody with a lot of money being able to hire somebody that's really great.
O.J. Simpson.
Thank you. I was thinking
Well,
it really hard
hold on a
and
minute.
was hoping somebody could chime in.
Hold on a minute, though.
He
The
established
state-
the price of murder. I'm
But
just
the
saying.
state has unlimited resources too. That swings the other way as well.
It does. It does.
The state spends a lot of money to try to convict their cases. They
I-
won't take to the death
I don't
penalty.
disagree
Ain't
with
their
that.
money.
Right.
It's your money.
I
know.
don't disagree
That's
with
what I'm
that.
saying. They spend a lot of our money to
Thank
put
you.
people
Listen,
away.
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. Where I'm coming from, the point for me, I'm on the fence with this. I really am. Because there's absolutely a point with me where I said if the evidence was undeniable, right, and it was solid, then I'm 100% for it. However, we had here in Houston a big scandal with HPD
Yes.
and
the crime lab.
crime lab,
Yep.
right? So evidence that was presented as flawless and everything else that convicted people was found to be faulty.
And
it's
Nifon,
that
the
hard.
prosecutor on the Duke rape case, he was dirty as all get out.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's-
there's definitely areas
it's-
that can be flawed.
In addition
the
to the
idea,
money.
if
Yeah.
I sat on a jury and I delivered a sentence for somebody who then went to the death penalty and lost their life, I could not accept that position, me personally, because of those kind of situations where you're giving an opinion based on the evidence put before you, and you're doing the best you can to make an honest assessment. But then the evidence 20 years later comes out, oh, well, this person was a total moron, and they just screwed all the evidence, and, the information they gave you was completely false. And you took this guy to the death penalty.
Well, we've seen many, many cases where a lot of people
If one
look
guy-
at this from you can try it based upon the evidence in court of law. No murder case is exactly the same as the other, so you cannot. None of us in this room right now can quantify and give an absolute yay or nay on the death penalty as a form of punishment. You have to look at specific cases. No,
Agreed.
you can't. And that's in a court of law.
Well, let me quantify
when it's played
that.
out in the media, in the court of public opinion, that's where everybody gets these doubts. They get these conspiracy theories. They get
Agreed.
these things that sway public opinion. Well, guess what, public opinion? You're not in that court of law. That's why when you go and sit in a jury pool, when I sat on one of those kids that killed the Pena and the other girl, that guy was lawyered and translated up like you wouldn't believe during the voir dire process. And he was looking around looking for people, and I was looking at him going, yeah, sucker. I remember that time when you were coming down during your perp walk and you kicked at the camera. I remember that, but guess what? That's not evidence in a court of law, and that's exactly what I told when they said, Mr. Williams, can you render a fair and impartial opinion on the verdict on this? And but see, Mr. Williams, you saw this all on TV, and I said, yes, I did. I saw a ton of it on TV. I lived it day and night, but you know what? That's on TV. That is not evidence in a court of law, and you could see both sides of that coin writing my name down. I thought, man, I'm never going to get out of here.
But
But that's
there's a
the
key
truth.
point.
That we're looking for truth in this show.
Well, hold on.
That's the truth.
There's a key point here, Joe, and this is a huge piece to this whole puzzle, and Steve just brought it up a little bit, and it's this misnomer of an understanding that we have of what that standard is beyond a reasonable doubt to a moral certainty. Correct?
Correct.
Now, you made the point that I can't definitively state where I stand on the death penalty. I'm telling you I can, because and here's how I defend that.
You have a personal threshold on that? Is that what you're trying to explain?
Let me explain.
Okay.
If you have a murder case that involves the word of one witness versus the word of the defendant, because that can happen, right?
Yes.
You've got 3 people involved. One of them's dead, the victim. You've got the murder, and you've got one witness. As a juror, I can convict. In other words, is there room for reasonable doubt in a case like that? Of course there is.
Betcha.
They would prefer to have DNA evidence. They prefer to have it on video. They prefer to have a multitude of witnesses and timestamps and receipts and all kinds of other stuff to set the picture. But you can theoretically have a death penalty case that hinges on the word of one witness. If I, as a jury, evaluate that witness compared to the defendant, and I deem that witness as credible and I deem the defendant incredible, I can convict, because the point of reasonable doubt, and Vincent Bugliosi, he was the attorney on Helter Skelter. Okay, now he's got a lot of stuff that I don't agree with, but he is one that awakened me on the way that this argument about reasonable doubt, beyond a reasonable doubt. Joe, if I told you to go out for a pass and I said, go beyond that Buick parked on the side of the road, what does that mean, right? I'm going to throw you a pass and you're going to go beyond the Buick on the side of the road, right?
Right.
That means pass. In other words, I can have reasonable doubt. Every case presents a different standard of reasonable doubt. In O.J. Simpson, you had DNA evidence, but was there reasonable doubt that maybe that evidence was tampered with? Absolutely, there's reasonable doubt. We don't agree that it may have passed to the point that we should have not convicted him, but there's always room for reasonable doubt. You can have video footage of a guy committing the crime.
Then there shouldn't be death penalty. If you're saying there's always reasonable doubt, then there shouldn't be death penalty.
You have to understand the argument. You will always have a doubt that is reasonable. That's what that means.
Then there shouldn't be. That should even be on the table. Exactly. Because if you have a reasonable doubt,
one of the
then
most
how
famous.
can you say that there's no reasonable doubt that this person
I hear what you're
deserves
saying,
death?
but you're not understanding the argument in its proper context. What I'm saying is, even the most famous, perhaps the most famous video of all time, the JFK assassination, this is the Zapruder film. There's evidence that video has been doctored to hide wounds,
Right, so
right?
why should we even put that on the table?
But that's my point. Every murder case, every criminal case you're going to have put before any jury is going to have. That's what what a defender's role is to do, is to punch holes and create reasonable doubt.
That's how you view it. You don't know what the prosecutor side has been doing.
Gwendolyn, that's you're arguing
what I'm
past
trying
my
to say,
point.
no, you're saying that there are things that they create reasonable doubt, but there are things that the prosecutors
what I'm saying is,
create.
you have a solution
There's
to
no no reasonable
problem.
doubt.
What I'm
They're
saying
all,
is-
it's all
Hang
a
on.
facade.
Gwendolyn,
You know, it's
you're-
all
Hang
it's
on,
all
hang on.
illusion. You know, either side is trying to tell you, trying to pull you. There's a reasonable doubt,
That's
and the
right.
other way is like there's no reasonable doubt. Just depends on which way is stronger. So you really don't know what the truth
Gwendolyn,
is.
but you're completely misinterpreting my argument. What my argument is no matter how strong the evidence is in any given case, there is always room for reasonable doubt. Reasonable doubt means you have a doubt that is reasonable.
So what? Throw that concept out? Is that what you
No,
said? Okay.
I'm saying that based on what our rule of law is, that I can have doubt that is reasonable.
Yeah, that's the argument. But what's your stance on it?
Because the other half of that argument is to a moral certainty. You know, let's use a specific example. Let's take the O.J. Simpson case since that's been mentioned. Okay, was there room for reasonable doubt in that case? Yes, there's room for reasonable doubt. There was
Because there's
evidence
room for-
of
Because the
misbehavior,
defense
misconduct.
based their entire case on the
Steve,
on
that's not true.
discounting all of, and bringing the question to all of that evidence against O.J. Simpson.
Yes, and there was room for question of the evidence because the chain of evidence was complete. The O.J. Simpson should be dead today.
But that doesn't matter because your
let me
point
finish
is
my
about
point.
reasonable doubt.
My
Yep,
point is about
but
reasonable
hang
doubt.
on. Let-
O.J. Simpson should be dead today. But the police mishandled that case, the prosecutors mishandled that case, and they took doubt that was reasonable doubt but should have still allowed a jury to convict to a moral certainty. But because the police lied about their chain of evidence, because they lied about their reasons for being on his on his residence,
Which people are
that
always
the
going to be
reasonable
inclined
doubt
to do
went bigger.
if there's a winner and a loser. But what okay.
I don't think that they're understanding
hang
my
on.
point.
I want to hear that point. What? Bring it out. What's the conclusion here? So
I'm answering Steve's question to me.
Right.
Can I be staunchly dug in, or not dug in, but definitive on my position of being pro-death penalty?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I can. To your point, is there mistakes that are made? Are there mistakes that are made? Yes, there are, because we can never be, we don't have divine perspective. We were not there.
Right.
Right? But we're still called to do our duty as citizens, as jurors, to render a verdict based on reasonable doubt, but beyond a reasonable doubt to a moral certainty. Going back to my example, if I have the word of one witness, if I am convinced in the quality and credibility of that witness compared to the quality and credibility of the other witnesses, I can convict on the word of one witness without a fingerprint, without blood evidence, without any video evidence or anything else.
Okay, so let me ask.
She's got a point.
You're raising your hand, and maybe this addresses it. So, are you saying that when the evidence is presented, that I should analyze the evidence that's presented under the standard of reasonable doubt beyond a moral certainty?
Beyond a reasonable doubt to a moral
To a
certainty.
moral
But you're
certainty.
off topic because we're not talking about the moral duty
No.
of jury. We're talking about whether we should have.
No, we
you
finally
know,
got
death-
to a good
we're-
point.
No,
What is
whether we're
moral
talking
certainty
about
by
whether
your
we're
definition?
we should have
Very
death
good.
penalty on the table or not. Should we
No,
have
death
it there
penalty
or
is-
not?
But
It's
That
going to
was the
phase itself
topic.
out anyways
And that was-
eventually.
Deviated.
But
We've
that
gone
was
into jury
the
mode is what
topic.
we've
We're
done,
not
so.
talking about
Right,
you know what
That's
how
that's a
can
good point. She's making a point.
jury, you know, whether a jury can accurately make a decision whether there's reasonable doubt or there's
But what I'm
not.
speaking to
No,
is
the
what the
jury's gonna
standard
be
is of a
influenced.
jury to make that decision. You will never, if you ever sit on a jury, you will never have a case that you will have concrete, divine perspective evidence that tells you for absolute certain that that person did what they were accused of
Especially
doing.
Okay,
Unless they
even
confess.
better.
Especially
Okay.
when people are so easily swayed.
Okay, hang on. Let me back up a step, right? To Gwen's point here.
Mhm.
She's right in saying we've almost kind of went down a rabbit trail to a
Yeah,
degree.
we
and
got
No,
talked
because
about-
it's a big piece
But
of the
it's
puzzle.
a relevant point though. It's a relevant point. All right. So where I'm backing up to is should death penalty be on the table, right?
For
So
now, yeah.
asking the question of why we have the death penalty. What is the ultimate point of the death penalty?
That's a great
Because we
I
question.
never
still have
got to
heinous crime,
answer.
that's why.
Right?
Ask
So-
Steve's question.
If I would
She needs to answer my
assume,
question.
I would assume that from why does the death penalty exist? It would be solely for deterrent,
No.
right?
No.
I think we have already gone that way.
Well, you know what? No, maybe not deterrent. Yeah, you're right. No, but I can't say solely. I have to put that out there as a definite part of it.
No,
but as
because-
a final punishment and closure for the family.
It's not even a major reason.
Huh?
It's not even a major reason. That's not a major reason for the death penalty.
Justice as a concept is like vengeance anyway.
No,
I mean,
it's and that's the misnomer a lot of
Okay,
people
so
mistake.
that's kind of where I'm. That's kind of
Closure.
let's back up to that point.
That goes back to my original point. But go ahead. She wants to talk. So
She needs
That's
to
okay.
answer
Yeah.
my question.
Let's
and
back up
I'm
to
ready
that
for it.
point.
Right.
What is the point of the death penalty, and is that point being served?
Because I don't believe it. I think our justice system shapes it into whatever, kind of closure it is currently. I feel like right now the system, it's almost like an eye for an eye. But why does it have to be an eye for an eye? Why does it have to be vengeance? Like when we could, again, like answering Steve's question, like what do we do if it's not death penalty? I don't mean to and instead of a death penalty we do rehabilitation. What does that mean? I don't mean to let them out, make them better. That's not the case. First of all, if you lock people away, you're depriving them freedom. Freedom is a fundamental right. And the freedom, it's so precious.
It's a right that's denied when you commit
it's a
a.
right you
Exactly.
forfeit when you
That
commit a
is
felony.
Suffering. That's huge suffering. You're being told what to do. You're not having, social relationships. You're not having intimacy.
So you
whenever
feel like
you
it's a
want to.
greater punishment to
Yes.
keep them in prison
Yes.
forever.
And then second, when you're putting someone away to die, you're making the family, relatives suffer, friends and family suffer. They're the one who's putting the money together to pay the attorneys, to make the appeals and all that stuff, to make sure we want this person we love to be alive, to stay alive. So you're essentially punishing the relatives, not the criminal.
All right.
And then
To answer your question, may I?
Yes, I was
Because-
going to say real quick. We're down to the last minutes of the show.
okay.
We've got 4 minutes. So, summing up for each of you, if you have a sum up point, right, which I feel like you were kind of doing,
Yes.
sum up why the concluding point based on the arguments that have been presented, where you're at, and let's go around and then we'll rate the wine and we'll wrap up.
Okay, so, and I'll keep this brief. This is the opening statement, part B, right, to tie it all together. For those who understand that our nation's heritage is rooted in not just religions, but the gospel of Jesus Christ, then you understand that there's a reason it's called justice system, okay? Justice, the Bible tells us the wages of sin is death. The ultimate sin that one man can commit or one woman can commit against another is to take their life. When that crime has been committed, there is no, what's the word you used, rehabilitation. You have crossed a threshold at which a crime, an injustice so grave has been committed, it's called murder. The unrighteous taking of life. When Cain killed Abel, God said the ground screamed to him with his blood, right? So the point of the death penalty, believe it or not, is not for the victims. It's not for the families of the victims. It's actually to meet justice, because in meeting justice, the person who's committed that crime has now paid the price for that crime, and in paying the price for that crime, they come to full grips with their ultimate fate, which, apart from Christ, is hell. So the people that say, I'd rather have the death penalty than life in prison, are coming from a standpoint that denies America's Christian heritage. If you believe that we are just food for the worms when we die, then you'd be right. Life in prison will be worse than death. But if you believe that there is an ultimate justice and that there is a heaven and hell, I promise you, with every fiber of my being, that hell is much worse than life in prison.
Valid point. Okay, great point, David. Summing up. Gwen, you were already kind of summing up.
Yes.
I don't know if you have more to add. But,
I do.
okay.
I do. So
I want to real
She
quick.
does.
I want to Ryan BK. Thanks for tuning in from Florida. Awesome. Chick Remix. She said she doesn't understand eye for an eye. She feels like you don't understand eye for an eye. Okay. Torian. Long point here. He said the death penalty exists from tradition. Imagine if a person was still stoned or put to death in the community. The death penalty definitely stems from archaic times and in my opinion does not have the same effect that most believe. Okay. Donald Bro, someone who is sick enough to commit murder cannot be rehabilitated.
Don Bro.
Some chiming in. And Crystal just tuned in.
Woohoo.
Yeah, she just hopped in. Last
Hello,
few minutes
hello,
in.
honey.
Okay, we have to wrap it up really quick. Gwen, sum it up as best you can.
Okay, first of all, I'd rather let God to determine whether we should die or live. Okay, so, and then second, rehabilitation is more like a term of art. What I meant is, instead of kill that person, just make that person do good and rehabilitate the families instead. And then third, an eye for an eye means if someone did something wrong, you do exactly the same. So if someone kills a person, you kill that person too. That's an eye for an eye. I do understand the definition. So,
All right. Well done. She touched on all the points. Jeff,
Mic drop.
yes. Jeff, sum up, wrap up. What are your thoughts?
I'm against everything.
I like Jeff.
I like Jeff. Yes, I'm going to totally have to have you on the show on a regular basis.
That'd be awesome. Thank you, because I enjoy it too. I'm glad it's only 1 hour because we could be here all day.
Yes. Yeah. We've experienced that.
We figured that out.
It's very tough to keep the show to an hour. It
No, but
really
you,
is.
As moderator, is more important than you as guest. I
Yep.
think it's good, for
Thank
the show.
Thank you.
So, I'm just thinking that if the law applied to everyone,
Equally.
it would change immediately.
Mm-hmm. In which the law does
That's
apply.
a very salient point.
Okay.
I
think
that's a whole other show right
Right.
there. Does the law apply to everyone equally?
The reason why Gwendolyn is a friend of mine is because she's influential, she's smart, and she has influence. A good lawyer has influence. An average jury can probably be easily influenced.
I would agree.
Things are.
I know they can be.
Listen,
There's a whole science around it. In
things
fact.
are definitely changing. We have, and still are, leading the way, very much. We're not there yet. Unfortunately, even though some very smart and wise people from the East Coast are a little more evolved than the people from Texas that I grew up with, no offense to anyone.
Although you
He's
just
looking
offended
right
everybody
at
in
me.
Texas.
Looking right at me when he says that,
Because
too.
I really respect your opinion, all this
Thank you,
stuff.
brother. It's fine. I'm missing.
We could talk all day. I'm just saying I had some smart people, very evolved, very enlightened thought processes, and they were able to change my mind. However, caveat being, we're not there yet. Okay. For now, I'm very much in favor. You gotta go. You gotta go. You're in timeout. Okay.
I love it.
Okay.
And
I know
before
how
you
to
get your
segue right into that.
Before you get your sum up point here, Ryan chimed in, said, who should pay to keep criminals incarcerated? Isn't that a very strong reason people give for the death penalty? I agree. But time and time again, and Ryan, I don't know if you were chimed in or I'm sorry if you were in on the earlier part of the show, where we talked about California, 747 people, 13 of them put to death to the cost of $384 million apiece because it was such a long, drawn-out appeals process. So, yeah, there you go. Torian said, Ryan, they stay incarcerated for years. Yes, getting to my point. They are put to death, constantly spending tax. They are put to death, constantly spending taxpayers' money. So yeah, before they are put to death. Yeah, sorry, I missed that very key phrase there, Torian. So yeah, if we're gonna have death penalty, for me, it needs to happen a lot faster and make it a slam dunk and move on. So anyway,
on the
Steve.
spot, just like Back to the Future, where they had the judge. It was a judge and jury on the little laptop screen. Like, you're so guilty. Look at you.
Yes, you're guilty, bum. Out to the courtyard. We're hanging you right now.
Yeah, red-handed.
Yeah. Okay, Steve.
Today we have had several, I would say at least 4, maybe 5 open-ended points made by all of us in total.
We're all guilty.
And I can't really bookend them in the time that I have left, but all I can say is that Gwendolyn and I are not that far apart in the book. I would say we were on the same page on a lot of that stuff, and I would leave it to our court systems that we have now. The laws that we have on the books right now, they're not perfect like what you were saying, but they are good enough in the current construct of the way that we govern ourselves, and we have made these laws to adhere to. The laws are not there to beat us over the head. The laws are there for us to catch the deficiencies and bring everybody up to the same page. The people that want to excuse and say, no, 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 no on death penalty, you have your position. But if you put those no, 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 no people on the jury and they see the evidence in court, those lawyers are not paid chump change to do things half-assed. Bleep. They are doing things in the best interest of their client. The state being the prosecutors, they're the ones that assist in the determining of the sentencing, the potential sentencing guidelines, even before the trial starts.
Right.
Okay, so we have a lot of catches and balances, and I would trust that if David Pipkin was on trial for murder, I would know that the evidence that would be presented in the court would be the best that we could get. Forensic, we have made technological leaps and bounds to do the forensic side of these things that really do catch every little nickel and dime out of this thing. The setup, the process is there. I trust the process. Yes, there have been horrendous miscarriages of justice where somebody was executed and then later on somebody said, they didn't do it, I did it. And you go, I could have had a V8. Okay, but there is a process. We need to do things to support the process. If we don't, if we start nitpicking and say no, 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 on all that stuff, where's the justice in that? If we just start saying, okay, hang them high, light them up, put a bullet in their heart, just the whole bit, stick a needle in their arm. I mean, you talk about the cost of executions. You go and look at how much it costs to execute somebody in the state of Texas. I think last time I heard it was about $38,000, and that's just for a needle and some chemicals. Okay, there's a business there. It's unbelievable how much it costs. Okay, so is that a deterrent to execute somebody? Well, in some people's eyes and hearts, that is.
I think we should let judges and juries pick the method of execution. Actually,
yeah. I mean, we had four methods. We had the most recent
is
the death by lethal injection, 2 firing squad, 3 hanging, and 4 electric chair.
We're going to wrap up with this. I will say, if you could scroll up just a little bit, I want to close out with the final comments, and we'll get to the wine then. Ryan BK said, "Missed the early part. We'll check out the rest later." Okay, Chicory Mix said, "Sorry, Gwen, no offense. Great show, guys. I love your comments, Jeff. Your closing
we'll let
comments.
the cracker thing go.
Right. Loved your closing comments. Torian said, "Thanks, guys, for another great show. Wish I could have signed on earlier."
That's big right there.
Yeah,
Donald, bro.
yeah. He's a strong. He's got some great.
But Donald, bro, when he says great show, we did a great show.
All right.
So good job, guys.
All right, yeah. Mustafa just hopped in at the very end of the show. It was a heavy show, Mustafa. I wish you would have been able to make it on earlier.
Rewind.
Yes, he is.
Yes.
Torian said, "No need to reply, but let us remember the penal system is big business. Big business."
Yes. I would agree.
All right, so
gotta watch those big businesses.
my closing thought, and it's going to be brief, and we're going to get to rating the wine. My closing thought, you know what? It's been great hearing all the points of this. For me, the idea of our judicial system was that it's better for an innocent man, better for a guilty man to go free than an innocent man to be convicted. For me, that's the heart of our judicial system. And while I am still entirely on the fence, I don't want this thought to be misconstrued. I'm very much 50-50. I'm back and forth, right? For me, I'm like, it really bothers me that innocent people have spent a lot of time in prison, and some have went to their deathbed being innocent. That really bothers me.
That's one of the deceptive thoughts, though, that people on the other side have put out there to try to sway us off that point.
Which is true, but it's also
ideal,
true.
Hold on. The ideal is that neither happens. The ideal is that neither an innocent man gets put to death or a guilty man goes free. It's a false dichotomy.
I agree. I agree.
I'm ready.
So anyway, that was my closing thought. Lisa just joined in. Lisa, you just got here for the closing comment, so you just made it. All right, we're
Thanks for teaching us how to make $1 million, Joe.
right, and that is how you cure cancer.
I have one last sentence.
Oh, Gwen is
Yeah.
trumping my position here
Yeah.
for the closing thoughts.
And it's 6:09.
Just remember, it's easier to die, but it's harder to live.
Amen.
Okay, good thought. I'm down with that. All right, let's rate the wine. At the end of every show, we rate the wine. This wine was the Bella Sol from I totally went brain dead. Castilla-La Mancha. Yeah, Castilla-La
La
Mancha.
Mancha. Right. The central part of Spain. It's a Sauvignon Blanc, 2016. I
The
want to
best.
say. Yeah, 2016. And we're going to rate this wine. It comes from our wine club. I get these fantastic wines every month shipped to my door. I get them for free. I actually make a lot of money with it now, which is really cool. If you're interested in that, hit me up, shoot me a message. If you want to be on the show, hit me up, shoot me a message. The show books up pretty quick. We're always
Yeah, Chick
solid.
Remix.
Yes, Chick Remix. You need to be on the show.
That's right.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, let's rate the wine. How was the wine, guys?
Start with
David,
me.
to you.
All right, I'm gonna go real quick here. My wine racism kicked in. Me and white wines, it just doesn't quite agree. It was a delicious white wine. I very much enjoyed it. A little bit on the too sweet side and a little bit too on the dry side for me. Yeah, so I like the red Merlots. But
Yeah, you got there in the
now,
end.
also, I alluded to something real quick that I owe Steve.
Yes.
I threw out what was intended to be a friendly barb on my last appearance on the show. In watching the show, it didn't come across that way. I pick on Steve a lot because he's the token GOP representative, and so that's how I kind of view it.
Mm-hmm.
But we are truly brothers from other mothers on many topics, and
You felt
he's
comfortable because
very
of what I said.
articulate. But it's just when I was watching that show, I go, ooh, that didn't look good.
But
So
did you see how I took it?
you did totally take
I was
it well.
going, man, I'm going to kick
Yeah.
And that's the point of the Wine No Wine show, is that we can disagree and we can throw these kind of comments out and still have a good time and enjoy a good glass of wine together as friends. So, all right, Gwen, how do you rate it? Rate it.
Okay,
Wait it.
5
Wait it.
cherries because
5 grapes.
I'm shocked.
Grapes, they're not cherries. Okay, grapes.
Plums, actually.
Sorry. Oh, what?
They really are plums.
Are we going to have this
They're
conversation
supposed to be
again?
grapes.
They're cherries, they're plums, they're down, they're grapes.
Okay, it's really good because I'm not a big white wine drinker because I tend to like on the sweeter side. And then this one is sweet but strong and it's smooth, has good body, and you can't even get it in the state of Texas. You have to contact this guy in order to get this wine.
I've got your wine hookup.
Yeah.
save.
So
Yes. I absolutely give this a 5. I am a both red and white wine fan. In the not so blazing hot, pits of hell days of summer that is Texas, I drink reds, and that's definitely my preference. Summertime, I'm to the chilled wines, the cool wines, and for me, this is such a light, refreshing wine, very citrusy, very fruity. It's got mango and melon, little hints of that. For me, this is something I could drink out on the back porch at 7, 8 o'clock in the evening when the sun is setting and it's starting to get a little cooler, and it would be a very refreshing wine on its own. So for that reason, I give it a 5. Fantastic, fantastic stuff. Yes.
I have a lot of thoughts on how to reform the system, how to change the world, how to change yourself first, of course. But, I love white wine, but not because of the taste of this one.
I can get that. Yeah.
I'm not loving the aftertaste.
It's okay.
Okay,
It's okay.
I did enjoy the wine very much.
Okay.
It's
3.
totally okay. It's totally okay. 3 that's a solid
4
rating.
would be something I would actually support, and 5 would be something I was super impressed by for some reason.
Like Gwendolyn was.
Yes,
You know-
I am
Obviously.
super.
You know what? This is
Millennials.
I support giving a wine a
Mansplainer.
1 on the show if you want to give it a 1, because taste is subjective.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
It really is.
You could have a 1 experience with this and absolutely hate it. She could have a 5, and neither one is invalidated
Yes.
because it's just what you enjoy.
I can't imagine giving out
It's
a
just
1,
what
though.
you, yeah. It's just what you enjoy.
Even the box wine was like a 2. Or
Right, yeah, there you go. So yeah, 3. That's totally fair, man. Whatever you want to give it, it's all good. It's all good. 5.
You're offended, aren't you, Joe?
4. No, not even a little.
You're offended
4,
big time.
5,
Wine Nazi.
3.
He's turning red.
Those feelings will get you in trouble.
50 Shades of Red again.
Okay, all right, here
We're
we
gonna
go.
fight.
That's what they call
Gotta
a
wrap
callback.
this up.
in
You're
comedy.
obviously a Nazi.
All right, I'm
Zero
not
to
going to
Nazi.
be.
That's a callback too. I love it.
At least I'm not the bucket of ice water on this one. Like I said in a previous show, it would
You're a
take
red
me
wine guy.
maybe a couple of episodes where I could get used to this.
He didn't finish it, though.
Give me mine. That's mine. I'm not done with it. I'm
I'll take the
feeling
rest.
this fine.
You didn't even see
Anyway,
it.
all right. I'm going to give this one a 3.5 because I did love the aroma. The aroma set the palate up, and the palate was somewhat disappointed in the finish. Like
Yeah,
Jeff
yeah.
said,
Mhm.
it's a little bit harsh. It's actually kind of not so flat, but it's like it hits you like I wasn't expecting that.
And lingers.
And so, but I'm thinking that after maybe a couple of bottles of this, just trying hard, I'll do it again. I'll have this again, and we'll try it, and we'll be happy. So, I give it a 3.5. I would buy it. I simply cannot dismiss a wine after a first tasting. If I don't like it,
Fair enough.
give me a chance to get around it. And I've done that
Yes.
before. Remember.
And we had a second bottle that
that
really
happens
kind of
sometimes,
yeah,
too.
exactly.
And it worked a little bit. I knew what I was going to taste, and I was able to kind of adjust the click, click, click. And I think, okay, let's be a little bit
All right,
more
Ash,
open
what's
about
the
this.
math? What's the math over there? You didn't do our
4.25.
Yes!
Yeah.
I knew I could count on her. My daughter
See?
comes through. All right, the wine has an average rating of 4.1,
Very strong.
which is a very strong wine. And I think when I looked it up on Vivino, I could be wrong. I'm going from memory, but I want to say it was a 4.2 on Vivino.
Wow.
So we are right there with it. We're right there with it.
We're probably better critics.
So yeah, so I just want to
It's
say,
apple.
in closing, anybody that doesn't love this wine is crazy, but that's all right.
And a Nazi.
Yeah, and a Nazi, obviously,
and a
and probably,
homophobic hypocrite.
and probably a homophobic racist.
Yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. So, just my closing thoughts. Just my closing thoughts for the show. Thanks for tuning in,
Hey, don't
guys.
forget, I got to go to where?
You have to go to Casa Nueva.
New house.
Yes, new house out on 1960 in Kirkendall.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, there we go. So anyway, wrapping up, guys. Thanks for being a part of our show. This is a mission for me. America needs to be able to see this. America needs to have the ability to understand how to disagree and have a good time doing it. Right? Not everybody's a Nazi or a racist simply because they don't agree with you. Right? So help spread the word. Share this show, like the page, be a part of the mission every week, Friday at 5. Even if you can't watch the show, tune in, like it, and share it. Help me get it out there. This is all for free right now. In fact, it's costing me money. I've spent lots of money on this show.
Sponsors.
Right, we need sponsors. We need sponsors. That's right. So anyway, it's a lot of fun. Thanks for being a part of the show. If you want to be on the show, hit me up, shoot me a message, or hop over to the WhineNoWine.com website, www.winenowine.com, and you can be a part of the show. All right, we're closing out.
So long, great
I think my
bits.
daughter's going to throw some music on just for the hell of it here.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We got an intro and an outro.
Yeah,
Woo!
drop some music, girl. Put it on. Hit the play. What's happening? Nothing's happening. It's so anticlimactic. We can all pretend like we're dancing, right?
We'll be
I'm
out
not
of
going to
it
do
anyway.
this whole.
Do the
Yes.
robot. Do the
There we
robot.
go. All right.
Oh,
We've
Joe.
got a red light, so we just got to kind of look in the
Joe's doing the
camera.
white man's overbite. You see that?
No.